Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Guess what? First time ever in the history of Bathrobe Moments, 7 years, that I'm not wearing a show robe. This is actually my ratty old real life robe. I'm in it because I got so busy this morning getting ready to leave town in a couple hours, headed out to San Diego. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Good morning, you guys. I'm truly waking up. Long weekend. I got home pretty late last night from being down in the city of Chicago. Wonderful fundraiser for suicide prevention at the National, I always get it wrong. Wait a minute. National Mexican Museum of Fine Arts. Whew, there it is. Okay. Wonderful time. Oh my goodness. We raised quite a bit of money. I don't know the final tally yet, but it was a good time and it was had by all. So anyway, welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I will be live all week, even though I'll be headed out to San Diego in a couple hours. I'll be out there until Thursday, take the red eye back, and I'll still be live Friday morning. I don't know how open my eyes will be, but I will be here nonetheless. So what I'm saying is no worries, no replays or reruns for you this week. I'm going to take it live all the way. Going out to the XP. Wait a minute. Oh, and I apologize for that dead air. Am I back? Internet weasels. But anyway, what can we do? That in the gas station, we have no control over that, right? Can you imagine if both of those things were frozen and we couldn't move, we couldn't do anything from home, it would suck. Wait, it kind of sounds like COVID, didn't it? Anyway, I apologize for the dead air. I'm telling my guests because I know David Oz. I'm not even going to try his last name. I'm glad he goes by Oz. He's a fantastic artist. It's going to be here in just a second, but David, I know you're listening backstage, so if I should freeze up, keep going because they will still be able to hear you and see you during the interview today. But anyway, sometimes I swear I think Comcast Xfinity gets their satellites from the dollar store. Jeez, I'm not kidding. But anyway, I am so looking forward to if I can get this up on the screen. Sucks. Okay, there. Thank God it didn't in San Diego. And if you're in that area, if you're in the San Diego area, I would love for you to join me at the RPXP retreat, the Ultimate Business and Health Collective for Conscious Entrepreneurs and Investors. I'll be the MC. I'll be there all the way until Thursday. It begins today and goes all the way till Thursday. So there it is. So let me get David in here, Oz, as his friends refer to him. I'll tell you this, his work is absolutely amazing. Shaking my head. I'm going to go to his Instagram today to show you some of. No, we're not. We're going to his website because there's some beautiful, beautiful pieces there. And what do people say about him? They say that if you're looking for something to give that person, a gift rather, that person that has everything,
well, he's your guy, because trust me, they don't have one of these. And I have a father-in-law like that, so I'm anxious to talk to him. Another interesting piece about his work is that he co-creates with the client. So we're going to let him explain what that is. Let me get him in here before you know who starts acting you know what again. So put some hearts on the screen as we welcome our guest today. Here he comes. This is Oz. I am exhausted from that monologue. I am not kidding. Oh, do you?
And you're frozen again. And I have Comcast Xfinity too. Oh my God. We may have to redo this, folks. We seem to have had a frozen Lauren Michaels Harris there. And here, me without my bathrobe. If I knew I had to wear a bathrobe, it would be on me right now. And mine is royal purple. So I think he'd like that. So we're gonna wait a minute until Lauren is back with us. I don't know if anyone's hearing me right now. There's a tree ready to fall on me over there. Okay. Yes, this is one of my pieces of art. Yes, I do custom art. So I'm going to wait until Lauren comes back and keep talking so we don't have dead air space, even though I don't know if anyone is hearing me at all right now, because right now all I can see is myself. So I am going to have to act as Lauren because it seems that he is completely gone at this point in time, and I may just be doing a monologue. Yeah. So, Oz, how did you get started in art? Well, let's see. I went to music and art high school in Harlem in New York City back in the 70s, and I was a musician. Okay, I wasn't an artist. By the time I graduated, I was playing in punk rock bands at CBGB's and Max's Kansas City and meeting all the big muckamucks and Frank Zappa and everybody else, and too young to appreciate what I had. Continued that until I was a single father, and life went on from there. And opened a children's portrait photo studio, and eureka, one day digital cameras came in, and then one day Photoshop came in, and I realized I can do really amazing stuff. So there he is. He's back. I was doing a monologue. I don't know if anyone heard me.
And then I'm like, well, I'll just watch on my phone until they let me back in. And then I was like, I couldn't get on there. I was like, I got to go find a hotspot. Thank you for being the pro you are. Where are you in the world? That was my first question, but we know what happened.
Okay. Well, I went through my entire life in 1 minute. So I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm a New York City kid. Yeah. And people say, well, how did you get here? And my answer is always, well, by plane, but that's not what the question was. But no, I came here for a girl. Didn't work out, but we're still really good friends, and we laugh about it.
I hear you. I hear. Oh, thank you, Lori. That's smart. Lori says, if I can't. Who said they couldn't hear? Okay. Anyway, hi, you guys. Hi, Robert. Hi, Lori, Whitney, Sherry, all the rest of you. Hello, everyone. Yeah. So I want to get started because you never know what's going to happen here.
And he's gone again. This is going to be an interesting one-sided interview, folks. And I don't know if any of you can hear me. And I'm not sure if I should continue, because if I do, and Lauren asks another question that I already answered, everyone will be like, hey, you answered that question already. What's going on here? So clearly he's having Comcast problems, which I occasionally have here as well, often. But that's okay. That's a different scenario. I actually like Comcast. They're better than the one that I had before, usually. Why do I do art? I do art because I have to. There's no other option. I love the joy that I see in a client's face when I present something to them that they co-created with me. And you're thinking, co-created? How did you co-create with a client? Well, one of the many things I do is I take a client's photos, generally vacation photos, often pet photos, and I create these brilliant works of art with them. They sign it, they name it. It's a one of one. It is a gift for the person who already has everything. And I have created a lot of joy in a lot of people's lives, because when they come home and they're in a bad mood, They see this art on their wall that they know they co-created, and it just lowers their stress, it lowers their blood pressure, and all is well with the world. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today.
What are you here to talk about today?
Well,
does
Lauren,
it have anything to do with that shirt you're wearing?
that has everything to do with this shirt that I'm wearing. This will be the worst one ever, because we threw it together really quick for a presentation I had. But I want to start with a story that you wanted to lead into when you talked about the myth of starving artists, because it's not a myth. So I want to give you a minute or two, because you in our pre-show you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at this clip, a little bit of it, because this is what people are putting out there. And that term is something that, for instance, we went to the botanical gardens right here in Chicago on Saturday, my husband and I, and there were all these artists like in some of the seated areas, and it was like, I felt like I was in Paris or something, and they were sitting there doing their thing. And I was like, oh, and this one woman all her stuff was like in this Prada bag, and the other stuff was in a Gucci bag. I was like, well, clearly she's not starving, right? And so, but then, the other person had like a thing open inside of a bag, because I guess they're not supposed to, what's that called? Not panhandle, but and busker or whatever. So it was down inside everything, and people were kind of sliding over there and sneaking money inside so I saw it both, and I was like, well, I wonder if it's true. So we're going to take a little look, not a lot of it, because I want to hear the truth about what's being said. Do you believe the starving artist myth is the title of this? Take a look.
Starving artist myth? I sure did. And in fact, it was the #1 thing that kept me stuck and struggling, because I needed a serious mindset shift. For years, I was a struggling waitressing artist, and I just assumed that's the way it was going to be. But I was wrong. And I want to talk about the mindset shift that I went through, because I think it's going to help you. And I'm here to tell you, getting paid for the incredible creative work that you put into the world is possible. Do you need a mindset shift? What are you believing that needs to change? Hi, welcome to the Josie Show, where I talk artist to artist about art making and art selling.
Okay, so she's saying it's not true. That's pretty much what she's saying, that it doesn't, well, it may be true, but it doesn't have to be. It's a choice. Now, so tell us, I mean, it's got to be something important going on for you to be wearing that shirt, and for it to be an entire organization. No more starving artists. Why? Where did that even begin? That people thought, well, okay, because I'm going to tell you, honestly, we have a niece in our family who everybody was all excited, and it's on my husband's side, and my in-laws pay for all the grandkids at college. And when they found out this one was going to art school, they were like, art school? Now, I will say this. When we were at dinner a few weeks ago, she said, I had to take summer school because I needed to make up a course I failed. And we were like, oh, what did you take? And she goes, oh, it was really interesting. The history of furniture. I'm just saying. Oh, okay. And everybody's like, okay. So
Okay.
a lot of people, when it comes to going to school for art, like my in-laws, they don't think that's really going to school. Talk about this whole thing about, do you have to be starving to be an artist? And are you setting yourself up to be not poor, but for the rest of your life?
That's a great question, and I'll give you a cornucopia of answers that happened Friday night and Saturday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have something called Avenues Open Studios, art off the grid. Okay. We have it once a year. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of artists, and they display in people's homes here in the Avenues in Salt Lake City. It's a very eclectic community, a very artsy community, and I did it every year, but I didn't do it this year because I wanted to meet all of the artists and tell them about what we were doing, and I brought my artists with me. And it was amazing watching these artists as I was explaining to them how to change, and Lauren's gone again, how to change their life, how to not be starving artists, how to not need a job, And
I'm here. I'm just giving you your close up.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And
No worries.
every single time somebody walked in that looked like they were even slightly interested in a piece of art, they would flit away. They would run for the dollar and miss the millions. Okay, and that is the mindset most artists have. And I'm no different. I'm no different. But just like the young lady, I think it was Jody. I don't remember. I was going to write it down, but you ended the clip, Josie or Jody. It's a mindset. It's a mindset of almost aloofness, where let the money chase me and stop chasing the money. We had another young lady, an Asian lady, who was doing wall hangings, the blankets. What are they called? Oh my goodness. Anyway, not tapestries, but blankets, but that that are all quilts. And the work was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. And I was at a quilt show a couple of years ago that was coming down so I could put mine up. And the quilts were $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. They were absolutely gorgeous. This woman was considerably better. What was she selling her quilts for? $150, $175. And they were selling. Of course they were selling. People were buying things that were worth $1,000 for $150. And her husband was there, and he's like, I've been telling her for years. And I said to her, how long did it take you to make this one quilt, which I opened up and put on a wall because it was disgusting that it was folded on a table? And she said, about a month. And I'm like, how many hours a day? She said, about 8 hours a day. And I did the math, and I said, you're selling it for $150. You're making 80 cents an hour. 80 cents an hour for that quilt. And the one right next to it, which is $175, she sold. She was very, very happy. And I said to her, why don't you do an experiment and put a zero behind that $150? Put it for $1,500, which is probably less than it's worth, but 10 times what you're paying it for. And I could literally see her become terrified. No one will buy it at that price. Put it in a frame and it's a $10,000 piece of art. So this is the mindset a lot of artists go through life with. And even Saturday, when I went back to Avenues Open Studios to talk to some of the artists that are pretty established, that have hundreds of pieces, that are beautifully talented, their art was $200, $300, $400, $500. And it was just outstanding that I'm a digital impressionist. My average piece is about $2,500 because I'm aware that I do something unique and special. They don't seem to understand that they're all doing things that are unique and special.
Right.
And it is this mindset of, well, I have to price it out where people will buy it. Well, there's more people than the people in Salt Lake City. There's people in Buenos Aires. There's people in LA and New York and Vegas. And you know what? They won't buy a $300 piece of art. They will buy a $10,000 piece of art. And it's a fact that people of high net worth will not undersell something because they want the bragging rights. They want to put it up on their wall at their home in Cabo and say, I spent 10 grand on that. I spent 100 grand on that. Look, I have a Jackson Pollock. I spent 1.8 million. Bragging rights. They often don't even care about what the art looks like. It's in their collection. And I think artists lose and remain starving artists because they don't seem to understand that it's much better to sell one $10,000 piece of art than to sell $100 pieces of art.
Yeah. You might as well be at the flea market.
So you asked me a question earlier. What got you started with Nomosa? Where did that come from? I had 3 friends here in Utah that were world-class artists. What do I mean by that? That means they had rooms in their house with all of their trophies and their best of state and best of show and all of their blue ribbons and purple ribbons and ribbons of colors I don't even know, and white ribbons. I think white ribbon is best of show. And they would travel the world. They would display in Munich and Paris and Belgium and all over the world. And this is what they did. And then COVID happened, and all 3 of them went bankrupt. Now, I'm not just talking about financially. I'm talking about mentally, spiritually, physically. They were broken human beings because they were up here, but as soon as the money came in, they spent it. They were high rollers. They had the Gucci bags, okay? They had the Ferragamo shoes. They had all the best stuff. They lived in a nice house and they lost it because they weren't prepared for something that none of us are prepared for.
Right.
No backup plan. And I'm not talking about driving Uber or waiting tables. I'm talking about online sales, where a lot of artists killed it. So I started a nonprofit called the Inner City Artists Guild, where we are eradicating the term starving artists from our cultural vocabulary by teaching artists how to be business owners.
That's awesome.
Oh, but here's where I failed. Artists don't want to be business owners. They want to be artists.
We're creatives. I don't have time for Excel
Exactly.
spreadsheets.
I don't want to learn all that Excel stuff. So I started interviewing artists and I started interviewing business owners because I needed a fusion. I needed a hybrid of what is it they both want that they can get together and everybody wins.
Uh-huh.
So I talked to business owners and I said, okay, what would it take for you to have beautiful original art on the walls of your office where you come in, your stress level goes down, your blood pressure goes down, your employees are happy because they helped pick it, you know, and your clients come in and they feel comfortable. It's how I picked my dentist. I was comfortable because he had a lot of great art.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, there's two things stopping me. Number one, I don't know where the artists are. And number two, we don't think we have $50,000 for all this beautiful original art. We know what it costs. So we put together a subscription model where they can subscribe. They can rent the art for 90 days and continue and change it every 90 days if they want to for pennies on the dollar. Okay. And to make it even better, now they're heroes in their community because they're supporting the local artists. It's local only. It'll expand to other cities and in Salt Lake right now. But they're taking their dollars and they're supporting local artists. And I met with a billionaire and he looked at me and he ripped my business model apart and he said, let me understand something. You want to come into my business and you want to rent wall space with art and you want me to pay you for it? No. Now, he was not that type of business owner. This guy is well beyond that. He's a multi-billionaire. And he said, this is what you need to do. You need to put a QR code on the wall. And when that art sells, whether it's from the walls or from your website because of him, he gets 10%. Now you got skin in the game there. And I'm like, okay, we can do that. So business owners started to say yes, because not only are they superheroes for supporting local artists, but quietly they're making 10%. And if it's a $15,000 piece of art, they just made $1,500. What did they do? They said, oh, look,
piece of wall. Right. That was
Exactly.
sitting there.
So what's in it for the artists? Artists get paid 7 different ways. We have partnerships with some very wealthy people across the planet who are putting their time and effort into us, bringing brilliant ideas that nobody else on the planet is doing. Artists get paid for the subscription model. They get paid for the sale, 70% for the sale. No gallery is going to pay them on earth that much money. We have hoodies and t-shirts where they send people to our Etsy page. They get 20% for that. We have, I don't want to use the dirty word, so I'll call it digital tokenized art. Used to be called NFTs. Everybody hates that word.
Oh, I
right?
haven't heard that in a minute.
Well, it's okay. They've come back and they're huge again. They get 87.5%. I know it's a weird number, but there's reasons for that. I'm not going to go into it. There's partnerships with us where they pay in a little bit of extra money, and we have a fund where they get 5% every single year shared with all the other artists. They can get 20% by bringing businesses in and acting as a salesperson, because there are a lot of artists that know businesses. How? Well, they insure their house, they insure their car. You know, they bought a house, so they know a realtor, they know an insurance broker, they know an insurance agent, they have a dentist, they have a doctor, they have a pediatrician. They all need art. Okay, so if they bring them in, they get 20% of all the art on that wall, not just their art. You know, and it just goes on and on and on. And we even arrange something with investors where they bring in, and I have to be very careful how I say this because I know it's legal, but it kind of skirts. Investors come in, they purchase a large amount of the NFTs, okay, and they use it a year later to take money off their taxes. Okay, it's all legal. We talk to our tax accountant, we talk to my nonprofit specialist, talk to everybody, and everybody says, this has been going on for hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you could do it. So 7 ways for artists to get paid, where it is the one thing no artist has: permanent, ongoing, residual income that comes in every single month. And once they're activated, once they're in the program, and once they're doing a couple of things like sending us all their information, their bio, their art, it's all up on the website, the money starts coming in because we have so many partners that are working with us that are bringing in clientele that there's almost no way to fail. And I absolutely, it's necessary to do this because, oh, I forgot the biggest story. Here's why it's necessary to do this. I did a presentation. We live streamed it over Facebook and YouTube and a few others about 3 weeks ago on a Wednesday. And one of those 3 artists that I talked about earlier that went broke physically, mentally, spiritually, every way, was watching it. Didn't invite him, didn't know he'd be there. He called me at home about 1 o'clock that day. This was a 9 a.m. presentation. And he's, Oz, I just want you to know that I watched your presentation this morning. You were talking about me, weren't you? And I became slightly terrified.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like, yeah, I was. I absolutely was talking about you. And he goes, thank you for not mentioning my name. It would have been embarrassing. But I want you to know that I cried for 2 hours after I saw the presentation because I knew you were talking about me.
Oh, my.
I knew you were talking about me. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional because this was really a good friend of mine. And I took the sheets and the blankets that were covering all my lapidary equipment, all my rotary equipment, all my woodworking equipment, my egg making equipment, all my art supplies, and I ripped them off and I threw them in the garbage. And I said, I'm back. And I want you to know that it's still going to be a long road for me, but I'm back. And it's because of what you did today. And I'm sorry, but I got goosebumps all over because I realized in that moment I may have saved a life, and we hadn't made one sale yet at that point. So that is why I have to do this. No more starving artists. Anybody who's listening to this, I'm sorry,
for a second. So there's this place. It's almost like if everything in an artist's world were an egg. There's this yolk. Like that's what made this guy cover up everything and just say, I'm done, I'm finished. Which is a lot, I would have to think, has a lot to do with that mindset. Because even the clip, that's where she was headed. She was saying it's a mindset. You got to change it. But I've seen the shift myself here in the Chicagoland area. When I had my event here last year, the Power of We Symposium, our hotel, the year before was just a regular hotel, the St. James Hotel, and then they sold it. And the new people, C21, it is now an art museum. Every floor is a different type of art, oil, a different medium, I guess you would call it. Even inside of all of the elevators, before you get in the different elevators, there's a thing outside right by the buttons to show you, to tell you about what's inside the elevator. So you're looking at art when you're even in the elevator, the stairwells, every place. And all of the monitors and stuff throughout the building are featuring the different artists. And again, they have that QR code where you can just grab it, boom, and it rotates every quarter. A different show goes up. And restaurants, a lot of restaurants have it. So let me ask you, why? Well, maybe there are. I don't want to assume, but you know how in the business I'm in of coaching and motivational speaking and that sort of thing, like I'm leaving today to go to a big 4-day event out in San Diego. Are there events, or maybe you're going to bring them into fruition, events where artists can come and learn everything you're talking about here? Is that here, or is it on the way? What's the status?
One of the things the artists asked me about, said, I will join you, but I need to know how to do what I do better. Okay. And maybe it was because of my approach. They weren't talking about their brushstrokes. They were talking about, how do I kill it on Instagram? Okay. They still don't want to know Excel spreadsheets and all that other shit that I don't care about either.
I don't either.
But they want to know who can help me get better on TikTok? Okay. Is LinkedIn a place that I should be? And,
Right.
and of course, dependent on their art. How can I become national? How can I become international? These are all questions that we help them answer, because we will have free trainings. Once they're a member of Nomosa, they're in it for life. They're going to continue being here. They're going to continue creating their artwork. One of our artists who's 80 years old, his name is Gunter Radinger. Now that's a name, Gunter Radinger. Okay, he's a very prolific artist. He's not in good shape physically, but boy, his mind is sharp. And he was one of the first ones to just, after hearing what we were doing when we were very young and didn't have 7 models to pay them, he immediately said, yeah, this is something I'll get involved with. And once our website went live, he called me a couple of weeks ago. He goes, I painted 8 new pieces of art. How quick can I have them up on the website? He'll have more art than anybody else. 8 new pieces of art that quickly, like in a week and a half.
Wow.
Because he's motivated again. He's 80 years old, and he says, I feel like I'm a kid again, because there's something new and exciting in my life where I don't have to go to a show, okay, and sit there for 3 days hoping somebody comes over to my booth and buys a print or a piece of art, and not haggle like you were talking about earlier.
Oh my goodness. I thought I was in Nogales, Mexico yesterday. I'm not kidding. And it wasn't just because I was at the Mexican Museum. It was like, and it was their own people. It was mainly, Latinas and Latina, Latins, let's put it that way. But I want to ask you this, because this was close to home. If you remember when we first spoke, I connected you with my adopted brother, who is, what is that? If I'm 60, he must be close to 80, and prolific, just like your friend Gunter. Hangs in Buckingham Palace. Obama has a piece of his. He's in the White House. And he was so excited to talk to you. And then I remember when he texted me back, he goes, I talked to your friend David. I could almost see the tears rolling down the screen. It was like my phone was trying to cry. And he said, but he's not working in our area yet, or something like that. But yeah. I'll tell you why he was, what stuck with me about that. Because my nephew, his son, had told me, he goes, Uncle Lauren, my dad, ever since he retired, he has a studio. He goes down there and he was just churning them out. But then the more he saw them, the canvases lining up around the basement walls, the less he was inspired. His inspiration seemed to dwindle because they weren't going anywhere. And it kind of broke my heart, Oz. It really did. And I want you to take that and talk about, well, you kind of have already talked about that, but I also want to ask you about this, because the arts, let's take music, for example. In our school systems, music programs disappearing at an alarming rate. Kids have to go out and raise money to have their own music programs in elementary school. They've knocked on my door countless times selling candy so that they can learn the flute or whatever. What is happening as far as art programs, early education? And can they put some of this that you've been talking about to change this mindset? Would it help if we started teaching our children that you really can? I mean, my brother knew. He got his master's way back in the 70s, got hired by Hallmark. But what was he doing for Hallmark for 30 or 40 years? Designing greeting cards, poster, then he started doing their Hallmark, whatever they used in their stores and stuff like that. But that was not what he is hanging in the White House for.
Right.
He got all that on his own. So, it's almost like they have to have day jobs, So do you think putting some of this mindset work into early education as far as arts, and are art programs disappearing like music?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did some research. I don't have it in front of me, but it is a pittance compared to what it was. It's even disappearing in college programs. And, if you take away our music and our art, what are we? Automatons? Go out and get a good job? That's not me. It's never been me. But I want to answer your first question that you said earlier. Mm-hmm. When you talked about, your adopted friend who's 80, that the more art he had laying around, the more upset he got. And he's like, why should I make more if it's just going to sit here? We answer that. How do we answer that? Because it's better. An artist is going to make not much money. It'll pay a cell phone bill. It'll pay a car payment. But here's the thing. When their art goes out for subscriptions in insurance agencies, in dentist offices, in high income areas where there's restaurants, those are the only restaurants we'll be in. We're not going to be in Burger King. And, I have nothing against Burger King, but,
Right.
We're not going to be somewhere where it's going to be hit by a packet of ketchup. Okay. It's going to be where people go and pay $175 for steak. Okay.
Right.
That's where it's going to be. It's not sitting in a warehouse somewhere bubble wrapped and collecting dust. The artist holds onto their art until it is needed, and then it goes up in dozens of different local businesses where they can go visit the art and say, hey, I'm Gunther. Those are my 2 pieces of art. I'm so glad you like them. Let me tell you their story. So now their art is in hundreds of places, okay, where they're making $12 here, $25 there, which adds up, okay? But it's on display. It's not behind their bedroom door. It's not under their bed. It's not in their basement. People, human beings, are seeing their art every single day. And when they sell, then it gets replaced with another piece of art, maybe from that artist, maybe from somebody else.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for the business owner. It's a win-win for the artist, because everyone loves great art. And I'm not talking about art that you buy in a discount store. I'm talking about original one-of-one pieces.
Yes. Yes. Now, let's pivot here, because it just dawned on me, and I don't know why this didn't come up earlier in my mind, but it's here now. My in-laws, they probably have, seriously, probably $3 million worth of art. And they also have little figurines and stuff, but I mean art on their walls. And I remember when I came into the family how my father-in-law would walk through their home with me and point out different things about different art, how much he knew, and would make me go to the website with him and sit there, and especially when something spoke to me. And I used to think that was just something you did. Like you went to an art gallery, you see people standing back and staring and going like this. And this, that really speaks to me. It was like, going to, when you want to lose weight, when I used to go to the grocery store and read the back of packages just because everybody in the lane was reading the back of the packages when I didn't know what the hell it was saying, right? So I want to ask you this. What about educating the novice? The person like myself who is not a collector. Now, my in-laws, they have art brokers that find pieces, and it's an investment for them, but they appreciate the work as well. They're like that when it comes to their wine. They're like that with their art. They're that kind of person. Now, a lot of people think that mindset is for the extreme wealth, people with extreme wealth. What about educating just normal people on the benefit of how to understand the benefit of purchasing great art, passing it down or starting a collection? A lot of us don't know how to do that. We don't know what we're looking at. Oh, it's pretty. Oh, I love those colors. But what about teaching us how to have that eye?
There's not enough hours in the day for me to answer that question, but here's where I'll go at the base gut human level.
Okay.
You come home from a rough day of work, okay, and you're not in a good mood. You want to kick the door in. You want to sell the kids. You want to crawl into a pint of Ben & Jerry's, Cherry Garcia, and fall into an ice cream coma, but you don't.
Last Thursday that happened. Go ahead.
Because you open the door, and there on the wall in front of you is this beautiful autumn scene with blazing coppers, yellows, oranges, and reds, and a blue-green stream gently running down the mountain. And you just breathe. Your stress melts away. Your blood pressure goes down. You're calm. Everything is well with the world. And suddenly you have this burst of energy because you realize, I am feeling so proud because I helped create that art. I signed it. I named it. I worked with the artist, which is what I do, and it is the gift for the person that already has everything. So what about all the other art? It's the same thing. When you pick a piece of art and you pay that money to the artist who created that piece of art, they remain with you forever. They will sign the art. You come home. I get calls all the time from friends, which is why I had that spiel, that say, you know, I had a really bad day and I walked in the door and that spacey thing you sold me at Comic-Con 5 years ago, I love it. It just brought me right back down where I realized what's important in life. Friends, family, good food, screw my job. It's going to be there in the morning and they're going to pay me on Friday.
I know.
So that is one of the reasons, you know, art is completely different to every single person. One man's floor is another man's ceiling. You know,
Correct.
You can have a piece of art and look at it and go, eh, and then the next guy will spend $4 million on that. Okay. And then you'll be at some little show and someone will have a print for $30 and you must have it because you look at it and it spoke to you, and it's different for everybody, Lauren. You never know what's going to float somebody's boat.
So can I ask you, we're looking at some of David's work on his website, fineartstudio.com, and we're going to give you the link tree so you can follow all the roads to this great work. But I wanted to ask you, Oz, we're looking at, let's focus on these three right here: ultraviolet, and when we look across, when you look at them, do you remember the person you co-created with?
Some of these were co-created, some were not. I want to focus on the one in the middle, the Spaghetti Swirl.
Okay.
So I teach art courses in multiple ways, and generally for novices. I teach a course in Photoshop design, how to take any photo and make it into outstanding art, which was how the Spaghetti Swirl came about. And then I did another course in AI technology, you know, through Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and all these amazing AI programs where you can create literally anything, you know, between them and ChatGPT. And I do that through a company called Magi, MAGAI, shameless plug. They're outstanding. Go to magi.co and it will blow your mind what you can create. And I should probably pop in an affiliate link because I can get you 7 days for free. But
like free.
We'll do that in a minute. But the Spaghetti Swirl came from a guy named Peter Spaghetti. It is my art. But when I was teaching the course, and this is where the students excel the teacher, I was teaching them how to do what I call implosions and vortexes. And this was a combination of the two. And he created some way of taking the edges. If you look at it, if you click it, it'll make it bigger. And it just click that button and it'll make it bigger. And the edges make it look like it's framed and tattered.
Yeah.
And I fell so in love with that I'm like, how did you do that? And he took me back in and showed me, and we created it together. So I named it after Peter Spaghetti, who is, I think he's an insurance guy in Long Island in New York. He's such a great person. And it just stuck with me that I can be teaching a course in art and somebody can be playing and in Photoshop and hit a button, which is how I got started 20 years ago, and create something that I did not know how to create. That is what I love about art, and it's what I love about teaching, that between day 2 and day 3, whatever it was, part of the course, he created something that I didn't know how to do, and now I do. Amazing.
Okay, you're back.
I didn't know. What was I gone?
For a second.
Oh, okay.
So can I ask you about this third one over that looks like a photograph? Winter in the someplace.
Winter in the Wasatch. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So that is created into an oil painting. It started with an original photo, and great story about that. I had that posted on Facebook about a year ago, and I got contacted by a gentleman, also here in Utah, but further up north, and he said, "Hey man, that is the perfect image for what I'm looking to have on my wall in my living room, but can you make it look like you took the photo on Mars?"
Oh.
And my answer is always yes. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I went in and I used some AI technology. This is about, actually no, it's about 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, it was pretty recent because the AI didn't exist a year ago. I sent it to him, and he goes, "I love it. How much?" That's it. That was all he wanted to know.
Wow.
And because it was now custom art, because I took one of my pieces and I changed it to what he wanted it was more expensive, but I gave him a break because he was somebody that comes out on my rock hounding tours. We go out into the desert and up into the mountains, and we dig up rocks and crystals. I am surrounded. Nothing evil can enter my apartment because I have crystals every 6 inches.
I know, that's right.
They're everywhere. So yeah, the art is never, when it comes to anything that you create and it becomes digital, you build on the art. So one piece of art or one photograph can become 1,000 pieces of art that look nothing like one another.
I love this. I love What Lies Beyond, Violet Twilight, all of those. Something must be the tree thing with me.
Oh, well, let me tell you a story about that. Okay, so the tree thing, when I see a storm coming in, especially in October, November, December, when the leaves are pretty much gone off the trees, I go out with my camera and we'll shoot up through the tree, because all of these beautiful clouds will be behind the tree. And then I create what's a photo negative. In other words, white becomes black, red becomes green, orange becomes purple.
Yeah.
All the colors become their opposite. And that's what you're looking at in these. And then I utilize multiple programs and I create them into these beautiful abstracts. And I got to tell you, a lot of them have become t-shirts and hoodies and leggings that a lot of my female friends wear because they're just so bright and vibrant. And I found a company in China called Yoikel that does like kimonos and hoodies that feel like they're kimonos. And I have hit up every US printer I could. I have sent them a piece of clothing and said, "Can you do this?" And they said, I think they said it's called shark skin or something like that. And it literally feels like silk. It's not. But whatever they do in China, they don't do here. And so a good portion of my hoodies and t-shirts come from China. It's a bitch getting them here by boat, but eventually they do get here, and my clients wait for them because once you touch them, you have to have them.
You fall in love. Man, Blood Sky's a favorite too. Wow. Wow. Let me come back in here. That was awesome. Awesome. I'm going to take the liberty now of let me get this up so you guys here is the scrolling along the bottom is one of the lanes to David's work, and then you also have the link tree, and I am going to drop the link tree into the comment section because that's going to include the other one as well, so it just makes sense to do that. I'm dropping it into your comment section as we speak so that you'll have it now for easy access to get over and take a look. You might be surprised at what you can afford. As you saw, I pulled up something at print. It was like $80 and it was one of my favorites. So I love what you say about, especially it made me think when you talked about how when you open the door and something just grabs you and reminds you of what's important in your life. A lot of us went to sleep one person at the onset of COVID, woke up the next day, and over the next few weeks, you know how at first you thought, that'll be gone in a minute. I didn't pay it much attention. A couple of weeks later, I was standing over a pot with a bunch of citrus boiling, thinking it was going to kill it, And my husband was like, "Your turn. Get under the towel," right? I mean, taking our clothes off in the garage and all that. So I'm just saying it is important to understand what touches your spirit, what speaks to your heart when you're at your best. And then grab those things and keep them within reach. I do that in little small ways right here in my studio because I know there will be days, mornings when I wake up and I don't feel like being this guy. But those things are there to remind me of why I chose to be this guy. So thank you so much. So informative. And I just want to say we need more people like you who are reminding us to hold on to these things that have been here for thousands of years and have lasted for a reason. I'd say to people every day, Write a letter every now and then. Don't let them take cursive writing away. What do you mean? What's your signature going to be? Your thumbprint? AI is nice for some things. You proved that today. However, AI does not have a soul. Artists, creatives do. So take that with you. And if you had a Jerry Springer moment, which I'm offering you right now, what's this other link you just gave me?
That is the link to get a free trial to magi.co. It has changed my life because you could drop your own photos in there and create art from that. You could put in prompts and create art. It's really outstanding. And the guy that owns it, Dustin Stout, he is constantly partnering with all of these AI companies and adding all these large language models, and you can utilize it for business very, very, very nicely. And it's a 7-day free trial. It's not going to cost anything to try it out, guys. Give it a shot.
Thank you. Listen, let's promise to stay in touch. I like what you're doing, and I like the way that you're doing it. It just feels right. So I just want to thank you for that, and thank all of you out there. I dropped that final link, the Magi link, inside your comments as well. So check that out. I know I'm going to. Listen, you guys, I'll see you, God willing, tomorrow morning out on the front porch from San Diego, where I'll be all the way broadcasting live all the way through Thursday. And then I'll be back here Friday morning, red-eyed, literally. But listen, get out today. Do whatever it takes to find your highest self. And it's not that hard. You got to do is seek. That's one of the promises. Seek and you shall find. I love you, love you, love you. I tell you that every day. And in parting, I'm going to remind you, I do. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have the best day ever. Thank you so much. And David, thank you. Great job today. Great job. Bye-bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.